Assault rifles are the most popular type of weapon to use in Warzone, and everyone wants to know what are the best ones to help them get Warzone victories. I'm here to tell you what the top 10 assault rifles are for Rebirth and Caldera. If that sounds good, make sure to watch through the whole video to get all the best class setups. Welcome back, I'm Austin, and the 10th best AR in Warzone is going to be the Automata. This is a community favorite because it's a laser beam for accuracy and has a fast fire rate, giving it a competitive time to kill. This hurts its damage per mag, but fortunately we're going to have a 75 round mag on it to make it not quite as bad. The two areas where this really struggles are going to be the initial range time to kill being low and the amount of bullets it takes to knock players at long range, 14 on Caldera and 12 on Rebirth. That's what holds it back from being at the top of this list, but fortunately it is very user friendly because of the low recoil and the high fire rate, making it great for any skill level player to use with this setup. So everything is going to be pretty straightforward on this. You're going to have the AMAX silencer to help you with your recoil and your damage range, but I don't really want to focus on all these other things. I want to focus on this optic because I know a lot of players like to use the SVT 3 to 6 times, but the problem with this is it's going to lower our ADS speed a lot more, as well as give us a lot of visual recoil, especially when we go to the 6 times magnification. And then other people like to use the G16 up top here. What's wrong with this is we have really low zoom for a long range weapon. The perfect middle ground is going to be the 1229 Slate 325 times custom, because we not only get better zoom, it also has better ADS speeds than if we use the 3 to 6 times scope. It has no visual recoil, making it way easier to use. So the 1229 Slate 325 custom is going to be the best optic to use. And then everything else is pretty straightforward to just making this as accurate as possible with the hand stop polymer and tight grip. The 9th best assault rifle is going to be the M13, one of the old classics for Modern Warfare that's been in the game forever. This is pretty much the same weapon as the Automaton, where it's an absolute laser beam, has a fast fire rate, and a competitive time to kill at long range. This is actually 2 milliseconds slower than the Auto at long range, but I'm going to tell you why I put it above. It only has one of the two weaknesses, which is the low damage per bullet and low damage per mag. We actually have a much better time to kill up close, where it's 50 milliseconds better on Rebirth and 60 milliseconds better on Caldera. So the long range time to kills are basically identical, but up close the M13 is going to dominate over the Auto. Pretty much if I'm going to use one of these two laser beam assault rifles, I'm going to pick the M13, and this is just a classic weapon that is good for any skill level player. And for the class setup, it's going to be super straightforward. We're going to get the max bullet velocity by going with the monolithic suppressor as well as the Tempest marksman. And then from there we got the VLK 3 times optic, which is the best long range optic for any assault rifle on Modern Warfare. Then we got the Commando foregrip for recoil control, and we got to go with the biggest mag, the 60 round one, to help the damage per mag not be quite as bad. I still wouldn't use this in quads for Rebirth or Caldera, but trios and below you should have no problem. The 8th best assault rifle is going to be the QBZ. This is one, if you've been watching my channel for a while, I've been talking up all the time because it isn't used nearly enough for how good it is. This is the fastest base mobility assault rifle in the entire game of Warzone, so that's already a huge plus to it. Then it also has almost no recoil. It's pretty much vertical with a slight tinge to the left, so it's really easy to control after you use it for a game or two and adjust to using this weapon. Then on top of that, we have a much better potential time to kill than we do with the Automaton or M13. If we hit about 75% of our shots to the chest at long range, we're actually going to get about a 60 millisecond better TTK on Caldera or Rebirth with the QBZ. But if you don't hit the 75% chest shots and you hit too many stomach shots, you're still going to have a time to kill that's only about 25 milliseconds worse than those other two. But we have way better mobility. It's also super accurate, but you got higher potential, which is why I think this is better. And you don't have the problem with damage per mag. This is going to be a typical Cold War long range assault rifle setup where we got the agency and task force that gets you your max bullet velocity as well as increasing your damage range and helping your recoil. Actually alarms 3 times, best long range optic on Cold War assault rifles. Then the field agent grip is going to help us with horizontal and vertical recoil, very important attachment. And then 60 round mag. The 7th best assault rifle is the AMAX, an old meta Modern Warfare AR that has been underrated since Caldera was introduced. People forgot about old reliable. This has the best potential time to kill at long range of any AR I've mentioned so far on Caldera, and only lower than the QBZ on Rebirth. This is a slower fire rate assault rifle with high damage and a bit of recoil, making it the highest skilled AR so far on this list, but it pays high rewards for those skilled enough to use it. The only drawbacks to it are the mobility and the 45 round mag. This is one of the best assault rifles to use on Rebirth because of the engagements always being within 100 meters, making the recoil not as significant of a problem. And this class setup will be great for all of you Rebirth players. We're going to start off with the monolithic suppressor and XRK Zodiac. This is going to get us our best bullet velocity. Then we got the VLK 3 times, 45 round mag, and Commando foregrip, and this is going to do wonders. Yo, make sure to like the video if you're enjoying it so far and it's been useful. It helps me out more than you know. And then subscribe if you want to see more top 10 lists, tier lists, or weapon versus videos where I compare two weapons directly together. The 6th best AR is the KGM40. If you've seen my last couple videos, you would know I've been talking up this assault rifle because it is the lowest recoil gun in the game. It makes the Automaton and M13 seem like they have high recoil. It may have the slowest TTK at long range on this list, but if you miss only one bullet on the Automaton or M13, they have the same TTK nearly as the KG, and I can promise you that you will be missing more shot with those weapons than you will with the KGM40. And on top of this, its close range time to kill is actually better than every other assault rifle on this list so far, other than the QBZ. It also has great damage per mag, and if you have a 1.2 KD or below, I'm quite certain you will perform better with this weapon than almost every other gun on this list. The only con is going to be the movement speed, but that's not a big deal for your long range weapon, and I will be helping to fix its aim down sight speed with my class setup. To help the ADS is going to be the leather grip. Normally you would go with a polymer grip on an AR here, but since you don't actually need the extra recoil control on this weapon, the leather grip is going to do wonders for our ADS speed and make it really close to other ARs on this list. Now everything else is sort of geared towards either our bullet velocity or our accuracy, but the one thing I want to point out is on this magazine, you could technically go to this other 60 round mag, which does increase your bullet velocity and range and your damage, but it does hurt our recoil a bit. I don't think it does too much to it, but it will make the weapon less forgiving because the fire rate becomes slower and you also get a little bit more recoil, so I don't find it worth it to only get 3 milliseconds better on my TTK. If I'm going for a long range beam, I'm just going to try to get it to be as low recoil as possible, and the bullet velocity is already good enough. Trust me, it's just one of those assault rifles where it's feel over stats. Just give it a try, I'm sure you won't regret it. The 5th best assault rifle is going to be the C58. This is sort of similar to the AMAX where it does have slightly more recoil than the other ones on this list, but this one has the best time to kill so far at long range on Caldera and one of the better ones on Rebirth. First off, we're going to have much better damage per mag on the C58 than we do on the AMAX. Then the other benefit is the TTK is a bit better. On Caldera, the time to kill doesn't drop off from close range to long range when you hit chest or stomach shots, making it feel super consistent, which makes this weapon amazing. But it does require slightly more skill and the mobility is a bit lower, especially with the aim down sight speed. So those are the couple cons, but we get the second best time to kill possible on this list for long range TTK, and that's why I have it all the way up at 5. And for the class setup, we're going to go with the typical long range setup where we got the agency suppressor and the task force barrel to get the max bullet velocity, field agent grip, and axial arms. 3 times are both going to help with the accuracy. Because the aim down sight speed is so bad, I do use the 45 round mag over the 55 round one, but if you're playing quads, you probably are still going to want to go with the 55 round. And the only problem with this is going to be that the fire rate is a little lower and we have a little bit more recoil, meaning it's going to be less forgiving, but if you're high skill, this weapon is perfect for you. The 4th best assault rifle is going to be the Cooper Carbine. This one used to only be good as a sniper support, but in that recent buff to Vanguard ARs in Season 3, this thing is amazing not only at close range, but at long range. Your only con, once again, is going to be the damage per mag, but this is one of the most forgiving assault rifles in Warzone because it has a super fast fire rate when you stack on a couple attachments, is having almost no recoil. The only thing is you are really going to evaporate your ammo because not only the fast fire rate, you also have the low damage, which is going to make it feel like you're having to hit players with a lot of bullets, but the time to kill is absolutely outstanding up close and can compete with SMGs. And then at long range, you're going to be right towards the top tier of the TTKs, but not quite as good as weapons like the C58. But I think this AR is perfect for Rebirth, and it's also good for Caldera if you're sticking to duos and below, but I think it's really specialized for Rebirth Island with the close range time to kill. Let's take a look at the class setup. So what is really going to increase this thing's TTK and fire rate? First off, we got the Cooper Custom, which not only increases the damage range and fire rate, it makes it even more accurate, which makes no sense for those combination of things. Then on top of that, we got the 60 round mag, which also increases your recoil control and accuracy and your fire rate and ADS. I don't understand why they increased fire rate and accuracy with their attachments on the Cooper, which is why it is so ridiculously good. Then I throw on compressed rounds because this is what makes the time to kill really good up close and at long range. You could technically go with lengthened instead and you'll still have a pretty fast killing AR, but not nearly as good as compressed. But don't worry, you're still gonna have absolutely no problems aiming this because we got on the hard scope perk and we have on this 1229 Slate 325. And since it's also really good up close, I really want my ADS speed to be good, which is why I also have on this leather grip. This AR is super easy to use in my opinion, and I'd give it a try out on Rebirth. The 3rd best assault rifle is going to be the Pharah 83, which is the one AR I really don't understand why isn't being used more. This thing has absolutely no visual recoil on it, which makes it so easy to aim. It has exclusively vertical recoil, which means it's really easy to just pull back on your mouse or your analog stick and hit all your bullets. Number 2, this has the fastest possible time to kill of any assault rifle within Warzone at long range by getting chest shots, which is why I really don't get it. The upside of this weapon is outstanding. Now the problem is if you hit stomach shots, it does lower the TTK to be around the Automaton M13 level, but you have the potential. It's kind of like the QBZ, but on steroids. And the one problem with this, again, you've been hearing me say it a lot, is going to be the damage per mag. This one is a relatively fast firing AR and relatively low damage. Not quite as bad as the M13 or Automaton, because you're still going to kill in about 2 less bullets, but your ammo still does evaporate a little bit. This is really good to use in trios and below, but I find it so incredibly easy to aim, and I can get the really good time to kill about half the time, and then the other half, I'm still going to be killing faster than in the Automaton and M13. Now, if we go to class setup, this is going to be the same Cold War setup as usual. The Grew Suppressor and the RPK barrel, those are the two to make you get the max bullet velocity. Action arms 3 times, Spetsnaz grip, that's the horizontal and vertical recoil, so we get it as accurate as possible, and then 60 round mag. Just please try this out, guys. The second best assault rifle is going to be the XM4. Now, you guys probably knew this was coming. You probably weren't sure which one was going to be 1 and which one was going to be 2. This thing does still definitely have some recoil, especially with the initial recoil. On the first 5 bullets, it definitely kicks a little bit more, but after that, it becomes an absolute beam. So this isn't one you really want to tap fire. You want to hold down the trigger and get past those first few bullets, and it has one of the better time to kills, but not a top end one. I just find it really easy to use. So do a quick summary of the XM4. We have the middle ground recoil, the middle ground time to kill, the middle ground fire rate, and then we have really, really good mobility, especially with the ADS for an assault rifle, which I think that combination is why it appeals to so many players, especially the sweaty guys. And for the class setup, you already know it's going to be agency, task force, axial arms, field agent, and 60 round mag, because that's just what you do on a long range assault rifle for Cold War weapons. The best assault rifle is the STG-44. You probably already knew that. I have this above the XM4 because the time to kill is a bit better and there's less recoil because it doesn't have the initial recoil problem that the XM4 does. I think this is the perfect combination of easy to use and upper end time to kill, and the STG feels like the peak Cold War AK-47 before it was nerfed, but with even less recoil. If you want to be a meta slave, you would only use this weapon. It's perfect for Rebirth or Caldera. The reason this attracts so many players to use it is because it's upper tier in almost every single stack category, but not the best at anything, giving it no true glaring weaknesses like the other assault rifles on this list. The only con that I can really say it has is going to be it having a slow fire rate, and it's actually the second slowest firing assault rifle on this list that I just made, with only the C58 being worse. But it's so accurate, I don't think it's going to affect you too much, and there's a few different builds for it that are going to help out the different skilled level players with it, and it's all going to come down to the magazines. For me personally, I like to go with the middle road, the middle end time to kill and the middle end fire rate, which is just going to be the normal 60 round drum. But if you want to go the high skill route, which is the 45 round mag, this gives you bullet velocity, range, and damage. So your fire rate's going to be slower, meaning you're going to get penalized more for missing shots while having more recoil. But then you're going to end up getting about a 20 millisecond better TTK on both maps, which makes it very nice, but it definitely kicks a lot more. Then the super low skill level one, which is going to make your time to kill go down by 40 milliseconds, and it's going to put you in the M13 Automaton range, is going to be even more accurate. You get the plus fire rate, which is going to make it be more forgiving when you miss shots, and then you're going to have literally no recoil on the gun. But everything else is pretty much going to be set in stone. I like to use focus most because it gets rid of your flinching when you get hit by a bullet, and since you have no recoil, you're not going to miss, and the other guy's most likely going to have some flinch, which is going to make you win the fight. And then we're still using the 1229 Slate 325, and that's all you want. Make this gun as accurate as possible so the low fire rate doesn't affect it. Now, if you want to watch a video directly comparing the Automaton and KGM40, I'll have one linked here, or a video on SMGs as well. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.